You lot already know who the Deerclops is. The giant lumbering behemoth that crashes on by every winter to make sure you aren't having too much of a nice time with your well put together base. It sucks, but it's a part of the ecosystem as much as we are. With its cool, ice-based attacks, a craving for destruction and monocular vision, the Deerclops is as iconic to Don't Starve as that other tall, one-eyed creature. But you saw the title of this video. You know what we're doing today. That's right, a Reign of Runts is back on the menu yet again. Last time we survived a year as the Dragonfly thanks to this mod, so this time around we're going to do the same but as the Deerclops. Now, our goal won't be to just survive the year, it also won't be to fight the Dragonfly, that's not that thematic. Instead, our goal will be to defeat the major bono of the ruins, the Ancient Guardian. Why? Well, in Vanilla Don't Starve, the Deerclops and the Ancient Guardian are the only two main bosses that you had to contend with. So I thought we could do it old school and have the old school style run. Will we brave the seasons, scour the caves and defeat the only other boss we had back then? Well, let's find out. Now, I was tempted to start us in winter for this challenge. But if I did that, then the Deerclops wouldn't have spawned, and in the Dragonfly video I didn't start us in summer, so it's autumn. Welcome. Do you know what you do on the first day of autumn? Say it with me now. Sticks, flint, chester, grass, same stuff, different video. I had no idea coming into this challenge where I wanted to live. What are some particularly wintry biomes? I got all the other Giants biomes in mind, but the Deerclops? Maybe a quarry biome? I have no idea. So, I guess I should have a rundown of the Deerclops' abilities. The first one is that this feisty girl could smash things with their bare hands, like a hammer and a pickaxe combined. So, what better way to test that out than with this end table? What a valiant use of my time. Smashing things up will give me a slight boost to sanity, but if I don't smash anything up, including trees, my sanity will slowly deplete over time. I am jonesing for destruction after all. Lots of running around, exploring the first few days. I smashed up some rocks because I simply can. I can already feel myself enjoying this perk, before I made myself acquainted with the neighbours, collecting their poops. Hopefully these beefalo don't cause too much of a problem with my base later on down the line. Anyway, I find this funny wormhole that leads me to... oh my land. Yeah, a tall fort. A somewhat uncommon set piece full of rocks and... well, the other, not as cool one-eyed creatures. I guess this would be really nice to have nearby, huh? Still putzing about with zero purpose or any idea where to settle, I continue to smash up rocks, get a bunch of gold, scare off a gigantic horde of grass geckos, and then make an early temporary science machine. I'm doing the old pre-craft everything I need to find a base. Normally I don't employ a nomadic style like this, but it's just until I can find a spot. So with a backpack, shovel and gear in hand, I head out to collect all sorts of bits and bobs, including pillaging a graveyard. I get some basic trinkets from them, some gems, but also since it's Hallowed Nights these things will spawn bats when dug out. Actually, I have no idea if that's a Hallowed Nights thing. I think it is. Either way, it's a slight bother. I do find a life-giving amulet though, so that's a free early game extra life banked. Oh my lord, I forgot to mention, you can't really see it right now, but when fighting these bats you may notice that they blew up a little bit. As in, they get blue, not detonate. This is because another one of my passive abilities is my innate ice damage. It doesn't make me do any more damage than any other character, but my attacks will apply coldness, just like the big Deerclops herself. It's pretty useful for crowd control, and makes a satisfying crunch as well. Proper nice. Just like these gears I dig up. Oh, that's bloomin' lovely that is. After running around like a headless gobbler for a few days, I finally set up my roots right here, on the right side of the wormhole in a savanna biome. Not typically a cold biome by any means, but... anyway, I get crafting. I place down my fire pit and the alchemy engine we made earlier. Oh, ain't I just always so prepared. It's like Blue Peter. So I reward myself with some pitchfork action. I got a special base plan in mind. You'll see it. It's only going to be slightly different than my old ones. Oh, you probably saw that I overheated on the fire pit rather quickly. Welcome to the Deerclops' third feature. I overheat significantly faster. But on the flip side, freeze significantly slower. Thematic, and it makes sense. After setting up my grand design, I plant my berry bushes and twiggy saplings before jogging on over to day 5. This was as basic as a day as you could get. Full of base prep. Getting better turf, more berry bushes, wood, you know the gist of things by now. Oh, but I forgot to mention by the by, I have a spider den right next to my base. For now I'm keeping it here since it will help us get an early supply of monster meat and silk, but eventually I will need to kindly evict them. Even though they were here first. I'm the bloomin' Deerclops, okay? I can live wherever I best well please. I wrap up the night by shaving beefalo. Why? I mean, I don't need any thermal clothing and I ain't going to be using it for carpets, so instead I use it as an easy to accumulate fuel source. Saves me from having to use logs since they're right here. Planting some grass tufts in our base marks day 6. Yes, I live in the savannah, so this is a wee bit redundant, but I'm the boss here, shut up. Anyway, it's time to get more charcoal for our cooking setup, as well as the odd extra berry bush. Typical stuff, I know. Things will get spicy soon, unless you consider getting harassed by spiders in my own base as spicy. I do not. Ignoring that, I set up my crock pot and fridge to deposit and cook all the food that we got. So far, this whole life as a Deerclops thing is a bit different to what I expected. Maybe I should have lived nomadically for this, smashing up everything, but that would have been a wee bit boring for the long-term play. It would be a cool idea for another time though. I crack open this sinkhole to grab some light bulbs. We will explore this cave again in much more detail soon. Remember our goal of clearing the ruins? Oh yeah, we will. But for now, humble base upgrades, yeah. I decided I needed to wall off my grass. I have no idea why I did. Okay, well I do know why I did this, but it was entirely pointless. I did this in case any grass geckos would spawn, but it's such a non-issue that I just did it because it looks nice, okay? Why am I arguing with myself? Look, let's go attack the nearby pig village. I didn't want to move the houses any closer to my base since I messed with the configs of the mod a little bit and enabled the monster tag for all of the characters. This is for some reason set to off by default, and it only makes sense for it to be turned on. I mean, I am literally a monster, right? So with my bounty of wood, stone and pigskin, and utilising my frost attack against the pigmen, I scurry on forward to day 9. More hunting and smashing on this day. I do find a little marble setup and smash the trees down with my bare hands to get the juicy marble contained within. I like characters that are better at getting marble since it's always such a chore to have to mine it constantly when growing it. A potential avenue for this character? But you already know what I'm going to be using the marble on. I mean, I had to, right? Imagine if the Deerclops had a base, it would be pretty fancy. You think it wouldn't, but I bet she takes out all of her anger on other people's bases so hers doesn't have like fist marks on the drywall or something. What am I going on about? Oh yeah, right, I fully contain the grass in case it decides to do a cheeky runner. I make a few chests because, well, you know what chests are used for, and why wouldn't you do it? Anyway, day 11. All that pigskin I got from the Pig King village, means I'm going to have a near unlimited source of football helmets at all times. And with the cool skin I have, I don't have to worry about losing my antlers too much. The horns ain't as extravagant, but they're better than nothing. Besides getting woods, I find the Terraria chest. And it's the really annoying layout where it's got like the warrior pigs around it. I try to tango with them and freeze them, but ultimately I get annoyed and end up just using the pan flute to put them to sleep and then skedaddling with the loot. I never used the pan flute. Call it too good to use syndrome, I guess. It was also a full moon, so I grabbed Glommer quickly, do a cheeky bit more exploration before heading on home. I make a think tank so I can eventually make bridges, since having to walk around these rivers all the time is annoying, before honestly wrapping up the day doing absolutely nothing besides more pitchforking. What a day for our last day of autumn. Wait, it's the last day of autumn? Yeah, I did short seasons again. Ain't I a bit of a prankster? Nah, I blummin' love short seasons, and I think it complements this series well enough. Much like how some cool walls will complement this base well enough too. Why walls? Why now am I deciding that I need walls in my series? as I play one of the characters who resents structures more than anybody else? Great question. Anyway, thank you so much for making it far into this video. Remember to drop a like, a subscribe, ring that cheeky little bell or whatever, and leave a comment. I respond to practically all my comments, so say some daft nonsense for me. Thanks. So I work on that boat bridge I wanted towards the Pig King's deciduous forest. I was annoyed at having to walk back and forth, so I no longer will. Us gamers love optimizing the fun out of it. Okay, walking around the map isn't fun, to be fair. I tried to smash up a pig's house only to get lambasted by some Pengals. Turns out, by the way, the smash ability with your bare hands does damage in an area. Whoopsie. Time to take out my mistakes on these spiders. Oh, I'm very nearly dead. Oh. Huh. Well, this can't get any worse, can it? Oh, it can. No matter, we survived. I knew we would, gosh darn it. Let's make sure that won't happen again, huh? So I made a tent to nurse my aching wounds as well as finally making a thermal stone. Sure, I am more resistant to cold, but that doesn't mean I'm completely immune to it. A thermal stone will help me go from lasting a long time to a very long time. Anyway, chop chop chop, ignore the encroaching beefalo on my base. I have plans for those, you'll see. Anyway, as we fence into the night, it's day 16. These Pengals were in my way, so now they are no longer in my way. I am the Deerclops, and I decide who and what is allowed to be pattering about in my base during my season. Understood? Thank you. Besides a little bit of stress relief, I expanded the wall and went on down to Gecko City where the grass is yellow and the geckos are mellow, as well as smashing up the odd boulder because why not? Rocks, flint and gold are never not useful. Oh, and niter too, I guess. On day 17, after warming myself up, I pop on back home to... Oh, blimey, look at all that food. You can thank Hallowed Nights for all these pumpkins. And the monster meat? Spiders. Berries? Berry bushes. Poultry? Pengals. You knew all that already, so enough nattering on, this fence ain't gonna keep itself built, is it? Now I understand some of you may be wondering, what am I hoping to achieve with a wooden fence, since the only thing this will do is make my base look really cool when it catches fire. Well, I'm hoping it will be somewhat of a barrier of defense against, well, me. You'll see what I mean soon enough, don't you worry, sunshines. I decided I wanted a prestidigitator, and because I am the laziest person alive, I just dig up some bunny holes to tuck into the juicy rabbits tucked away inside. I know I can just wait or use carrots to bait them out, but as previously mentioned, really lazy. I found a touchstone, 3 pigskin and a revive. Will I end up using it? Maybe. Maybe not. I like doing red herrings in my commentary to make sure you're all paying attention to what happens and, well, to lie to keep you guessing and watching. Thank you all for your consideration. Also, thank you, Prestidigitator, for giving me access to the dark arts. And that being an ice staff. Now this is my kind of magic. I could do an entire video on why the ice staff is the best item in the game. Actually, I'm totally gonna do that, mark my words. Not right now though, we need to use the damn thing to kill McTusk. I remembered this time around instead of saving it for the last day. And after a valiant fight like always, we nab ourselves just a Tam O'Shanter. Oh, I was hoping to get the Walrus Tusk as well, but I wouldn't say no to a cool free hat. Anyway, that doesn't matter, there's another Walrus camp right up here, so with a little bit of tango, we got ourselves the Walrus Tusk. That's that taken care of, back to the base. With our cool fancy hat and even cooler and fancier walking cane, welcome to day 20. Cora, what happened today? Great question. I popped down to the caves for, light bulbs, and that was it. Came back up for more grass and more fences. Made a ham bat for no discernible reason. Okay, that's a lie. The Deerclops turned up, and guess what? My cool fence actually stopped it from strutting into my base and smashing it up instantly. So I don't want to see anybody making fun of my fence in the comments, okay? Anyway, so do you remember how I said I had a beefalo issue I wanted to take care of? Well, consider that issue taken care of. Lots of free meat and one less issue to deal with. Thanks, big old buddy o' mine. Oh, I suppose we should actually take care of the fight, huh? Yeah, it was a Deerclops fight, alright. It died. I mean, I nearly died too, but shut up. Its fight was slightly changed in the recent update, don't bully me. But we took care of it, getting buttloads of meat. I'm never going to say that phrase again, Ash. as well as wool and all sorts. There can only be one Deerclops in this world, I'm afraid, bucko. With all this meat, I'm going to need something to do with it, so what better to do than dry it? I make some drying racks on the eve of the wettest time of the year. We did get a fridge load of meat, so better do with it what we can until it goes sour. Day 22. Not a whole lot happened on this day. Oh, that should be my catchphrase. Running around with my walking cane, getting materials, collecting honey. Turns out, by the by, I can get some free honey from this nearby bee queen hive every so often on the account of my free hammers I call my bear arms. Deer arms. We don't talk about the bear yet. So this is the best way we have of getting honey, and it's not restricted by winter. Marvellous, innit? I was doing this earlier in the season, but I forgot to mention it until now. Sue me. And so, with more drying racks up and drying, winter itself comes to an eventful close. Welcome to spring. What better way to welcome spring than turning the desiccated eye from our fallen matriarch into a stylish umbrella hat? But we need bone fragments for that, so I'm gonna fandangle my way over here to this hallowed night set piece and smash up these bones with my claws. It already started to rain on the first day of spring, so before it picks up too much, I burn down a nearby forest to get as much charcoal as I can for more drying racks. I know, poor timing, whatever, by the time summer hits, it will be too late. We get home at the dead of night with hounds attacking us. Never an issue as you could expect, we are way too early in the year and I'm also an ultra gamer, so putting these mutts aside, we make our umbrella. Wearing this is just so wrong, but why does it feel so right? I put down some more drying racks and cook up food with our rapidly depleting stocks. I often make myself honey nuggets since I've been getting so much free honey from the nearby big beehive. Should nearby it more often, to be honest. Our goal for this day was to just get more drying racks before the meat spoils. Thanks to the risk of rain, reference, the meat will dry really slowly, so having multiple go at once should offset that. And with the mountains of meat we got from that Deerclops fight, we got a daunting job ahead of us. I think this should be enough for now. It's not ideal, but I don't want my base being too big and flammable come summer. Even though what I have planned for summer means I ain't going to be spending much of the season above ground. Speaking of summer, I decided I needed to prepare for it. See, we're plumb out of gears, and I'm going to need them for flingamatics and a little something extra I'll need down in the caves. But we're completely out, so I go all around the map looking for anything. Digging up graves gives us naught, so instead I come across this lumbering behemoth. I don't know why, but I try to fight it right away. I'm clearly unprepared, as you can see, but my hubris and stupidity won't ever surpass me, so I try to fight it until all my stuff breaks. I was hoping that, God forbid, the bees would do something, even the bee queen herself. But nope, they barely tickle the thing. Alas, nothing. So I retreat back to my base to actually get the stuff needed to fight it this time around. You know, weapons, armor, healing items in hopes that it didn't heal back up to full by the time I got there. But it did. Oh well. Its egg also hatched, so we need to deal with that after this epic battle. And as you could expect, it went as expected. Not my best fighting. Honestly, the freezing from the attack isn't too useful. Mostly does a great job at messing up my muscle memory, but it can be helpful to catch a breather and do some healing mid-combat. After, quite frankly, the most disappointing moose battle of my entire career, the goose has fallen, and its flock is proper miffed at me. There's not a billion of them this time, so I take my time, killing them one by one, attacking them only when they're dizzy to clean them out and get all the down feathers and even more meat that I'll need for the caves. Job well done if I do say so myself. Food ain't ever gonna be an issue in this playthrough. Well, to be honest, after you've played the game for longer than 10 hours, food rarely becomes an issue at all. In the titular Don't Starve video game by Clay Entertainment, creators of Eats Munchies. Whatever. Day 28. Speaking of the caves, we're... oh, never mind. We're going to explore the surface to try and find some more gears. Only way we're doing that is to proper shaft our sanity by digging up graves yet again. I get life-giving amulets, gems, trinkets, a monster headache brought on by this terror beak, but no darn gears. Running around like a lunatic didn't net me anything, so I stopped back off at base to recuperate everything except the one thing I needed to recuperate, my sanity, before mining some more rocks since I was out yet again. And then the hounds attacked me. Yeah, moving swiftly on, it was day 30, and things on our little gear hunt were not looking ideal. I had to resort to doing even more grave robbing, and then we find more gears. This is good enough. I'd like more flingamatics, but the one will do us just fine for now. I'm a little bit upset that clockworks are so elusive on this world. I know I could have gotten some in the ruins, or find the moon key to get a load of them, but you know, I'm very, very lazy. You should know this by now, right? I chopped down this totally normal tree and placed its logs inside Chester. Remember this, as day 31 kissed us on the lips. I grabbed the ice as I should have a long time ago to make our first flingamatic. And look, ain't you proud of me? I designed my first base where my fire pit doesn't get extinguished by the flingamatic. It took almost 1,000 hours in the game, but I finally did it. Thank you all so much for your support. It was a full moon on that night, which means for me, free woodcutting without having to worry about light. And that means more chests. The jerky was starting to get dry, so I cycled it out and kept it fresh in my fridges. We'll need lots and lots of jerky for our goal. Remember what that was? You know, the Ancient Guardian? We established that early in the video. Keep up, sheesh. Today was the usual basic base chores, besides that. Cycling food around, harvesting, making a little raft for lure plants, basic riffraff that you gotta do. I still needed more gears though. I decided at this point, since I had nothing better to do, would be to go find some more. So I ran around the world looking to find something. A crumb of progress. The clockworks have to be out there somewhere. Wouldn't you believe it? They were. Hallelujah, praise whatever being you love, we found them. We find a lot of them too. We put use our freezing ability here by keeping the rook in place while we deal with the knights. Honestly, up until now, I've discounted the freeze ability as not being too useful, but it has its applications here and there, I'd argue. Against one target, it ain't the best unless you need a heal, but against multiple, very useful. I think it can also interrupt enemy combos too. I know who to test that out on, you'll just have to wait and see. But with a whopping 8 gears that would have been way better early in the run, I make another flingamatic, so now we have practically full coverage of the entire base. That surely was a spring to forget, wasn't it? Now, about that summer that I've been hyping up. It's hot. Real hot. I rushed to make an endothermic fire pit right away since I didn't really think about that until now. As you can expect, the old Deerclops, bless her soul, really does not like the heat. I'm going to have to be very careful with the summer sun. If only there was a way I can completely escape it. Oh, but if only. For now, until then, we gotta look after our base. And our body. So I used some of those down feathers I hassled over during spring to make a feather fan as I dashed down into the caves. You see, I didn't know if my overheating resistance was so bad that even the caves would let me overheat. But as you can tell from me speaking in past tense, it never makes me overheat. But it's always better to be safe than sorry, right? And why did I hassle with all those flingamatics if I plan on spending the entire season in the caves? Because... Nah, joking aside, we will be popping back up to the base every so often for some basic base knickknacks every now and then. And they do get used in this playthrough, spoiler alert, so don't leave any nasty comments, I will cry, this is a threat. What am I faffing on about? Oh, the caves, time to explore them. Not much I can really say about the caves, really. They're the caves. Made a whole video based on the silly place. Might do another one with Tig soon as well. Ooh. So you know how I constantly complain about never finding the ruins whenever I play this game? So I find the ruins on day 2 of being down in the caves, yup. I do my usual poke my toes in to burn up some of the monkey pods to make future trips easier method. I sure hope this is the actual ruins entrance and not some random silly funny monkey biome completely separate to the ruins. Wouldn't that be funny? Because it was! What a nice waste of time that was. I mean, we can use this place as a cool funny banana farm once the monkeys are all extinct, right? Anyway, the nightmare cycle revs up, so I have an issue. Several small, skittering, eking issues chasing after me. I don't particularly want to or have the means to deal with this right now, so I just run back up to the surface world, to my base, praying that the monkeys ain't gonna be waiting for me at the entrance when I get back down there. I came back up here to get the materials needed to make a forward base, right outside the ruins. So that's a fire pit, a fridge, some storage, a crock pot, all the shebang. As I was getting the materials, I hear a weird alarm blaring. It turns out it was my Fling-O-Matic, and that thing just saved my base from going up in flames. The drying racks caught alight. I told you the ice Fling-O-Matics were going to come in handy. So with all the base bits in tow, and all my pigskin, jerky, and the MacGuffins, we raced the monkeys back to the ruins entrance. I've decided to set up an outpost by the toadstool spawner, that is blessing the entrance to the ruins. A good place overall, I'd argue. I wanted to head into the ruins, but noticed the cycle was in full whack, so instead I dashed over to the nearby blue mush tree biome to get a bunch of mushrooms and wood. Why not? Nothing else I can really do during the nightmare cycle, is there? With all the guff out of the way, the cycle seems to be waning, so let's head on in and see if we can actually find the ways into the ruins instead of the silly little monkey biome. We found a cool land bridge that leads absolutely nowhere. Well, why do I want to make a video where I live on a stupid land bridge like this? Wait, no, I don't. Anyway, I find the ruins village entrance, so I do my burning entrance strategy and also deal with these funny little slurpers. It's all about making future trips easier for the time being. But eventually, we do indeed find it. The ruins proper. I got no idea how the ruins biomes fully work in Don't Starve Together, since as previously established, I rarely come into this lightless place. I know in single player it's laid out like a starfish in a way, but here it's all interconnected. So I prowl the harrowing halls in hunt for ancient riches and treasures, and I find lots of evil looking places. Lots of statues, fissures, broken down clockworks. Sheesh, this place is a mess. I'm going to need to clear out lots of this if I want to get anything done down here. I do end up finding the labyrinth though. This is great since I'm almost certain this will lead to the Ancient Guardian. Plus we can score a little bit of cheeky loot whilst we're down here too. And by cheeky loot I mean a half broken spear and a log suit. Hooray. Also broken bishops. Are these things only here in Don't Starve Together? Because I could have sworn I never saw any of them when I explored the ruins back in the old days of single player in the labyrinth. Oh, well, they're not too hard to deal with. We did come prepared after all. But eventually, after skittering around the labyrinth for a long while, we find the Minotaur to this maze.
Yeah, we ain't fighting it just yet. Just a bit of recon. There's not much else we can do on the other side of the maze other than this guy, so we retreat back to where we came from and take our time to slowly collect fuel site and gems from the statues in a quieter part of the ruins. Once again, our smashing claws come in great handy here, since I would have had to remember a pickaxe otherwise, God forbid. We get a decent amount before needing to go back into the broken barracks area full of ancient rusted mechanicus. It was dangerous, but filled with lots of fuel site, and a broken ancient pseudoscience station. Now I know you can find fully repaired ones down here, but this one is in the most convenient of spaces for us right now, especially once we clear out the clockworks. So I fix that bad boy up and look to see what we can make right away. Think I'm going to need to make a bunch of weapons and armor to help me fight the Ancient Guardian, but I need more fuel site, so I fight more clockworks, break some more statues to get a healthy amount of the stuff. But then the nightmare cycle starts up once more, and I do not wish to be this deep in the ruins when that happens, so I retreat back out to our surface base. Ignore the antlions earthquakes by the way, we always do. During summer, in case you didn't know, the antline will cause the most pitiful earthquakes known to man. It's why basing in the caves during summer is the best thing to do. Anyway, with more shadow monkeys on our tail, we scurry back up, past the nightmare werepig, before arriving up top again. What a breath of fresh air. Now, it's time to come clean. I came back up here to frantically look for living logs to make fuel site clubs, as I could have sworn I had some, but I couldn't find them. Do you remember where they were? Leave a comment if you do, and make a time machine and tell me in the past as well. Since I couldn't make fuel site clubs, I decided on the next best thing, a hambat. Don't fix what ain't broken, am I right? So with the pigs turned to bacon, we dash back down, ready to make our hambat at a moment's notice, to get the optimal damage from it. And I think it's time for that now. I grab all the jerky I can from the fridge and head once more into the ruins. Still some annoying shadow spelunkies to deal with, so I clean them out. I find the ancient pseudoscience station once more and craft a bunch of crowns, using a construction amulet for half the price. I may have over-prepared a wee bit, but, you know, it's better to be over than under in this case. With all this in our hands, we march onwards to the Ancient Guardian and start the fight. This beastie is a lot like a rook, employing charging base attacks, but with an additional bite if you stick too close. You can lure it into smashing these nearby pillars and the debris it drops to get some extra hits on, but as you can see, this thing is really weak to freezing. I'm freezing it nearly every combo. Because of this, I just decided to tank through it. The crowns helping out especially so in that instance, plus with all the jerky we spent all spring preparing to get as well. As the fight went on, the Guardian started to bleed out nightmare fuel. This creates monstrous little shadow tentacles that would tear me asunder if I hung out with them too long. Positioning was key for this battle, as well as ample usage of freezing the thing and healing during its frozen period. It would often try to dive bomb me too, a step up from what I remember from single player all those years back. But after a long and arduous resource intensive battle, we did it. We claim our loot that is rightfully ours. Our goal? Complete. Killing the other big boss from classic Don't Starve. Right on time too. As we head out once more from the ruins, with our pockets full of goodies, I reflected upon this run. What an eventful little thing it was. I rarely do the ruins, so doing all of this was a treat and a half. Turns out, I'm not as terrible at the game as I thought. And this character? Amazing. I loved them. All the little quirks and downsides really added together to make an amazing playthrough. And for that, I have to thank you all so much for watching. You made it this far to the end. Cannot express enough how thankful I am to all of you. Huge shout out to the channel members like always, but if you stuck out for this long, you're worthy of praise as well in my book. And as we arrive back on the surface once more to marvel at our base, I wonder what's next for us. A continuation? Or maybe a new giant? Tune in next time to find out. Bye everybody.